Back out on the lake today. It's still early spring. The water's running about 50-51 degrees. We hit a kind of a windy day. The fish we're going after have moved out away from their spawning locations. That was, the spawn ended 2 or 3 weeks ago. So today we're presenting live bait. With the wind what it is, a slip bobber is not a real great option. Boat control becomes kind of an issue, so I've resorted to running Lindy rigs because the areas I'm finding these fish are out over those sand flats, and they seem to be preferring live bait right now. So the Lindy rig, or rigging live bait, is what I'm going to give a shot. So for those of you that aren't aware, rigging live bait or Lindy rigging is just running some type of a weight or a sinker with a section of line behind it, and a lot of the times a plain hook, depending on what you're fishing for, sometimes floating jig head. But today I've got leeches and sucker minnows in the boat, so we're going to start with the sucker minnows. Let's just start off with what we're doing for line. So a Lindy rig, what I've got here, if you can take a look, I've got 10-pound fire line for my main line, and that's run down to this 3/8 ounce bullet weight. Then there's a small barrel swivel, and then that just goes to a 10-pound fluorocarbon leader. It's about 5.5–6 feet long, and I'm just running that down to a plain red hook. So that's the Lindy rig setup. You can get, you can buy the pre-tied single, double, triple hook Lindy rigs depending on what you're going to fish. Today I'm just running a single hook because I'm running big minnows. As far as the weights go, I'm trying to match my weight to, one, the type of structure I'm fishing, and two, the depth and the speed I'm going to be going. Today I'm fishing 14 to 18 feet, so I'm running 3/8 ounces, pretty windy, so I might throttle up to a quarter later if I'm not getting that bottom contact. I'm running a bullet weight because I'll be in the sand. There's all different styles of weights. You've got these egg sinkers. Those are something that I would run if I were fishing over muck or a muddy bottom. If I'm fishing in rocks, they make these rock runners. They're great. They get that bait up off the bottom a little bit. And the whole idea behind running that weight out in front of your hook is, one, sometimes if the fish are a little turned off, they don't want a jig, or there's those days they just won't bite a jig head. So, it gets that bait down in front of the fish, but it pulls that weight out away from the hook, so the fish aren't maybe seeing that, and they're more apt to bite just that plain piece of bait with a hook in it. As far as line, I always run a fluorocarbon leader rather than monofilament. One thing that does is fluorocarbon floats, so it has a tendency when you're fishing like a night crawler or a leech, it just gives you that little bit more of getting that bait up off the bottom, that maybe 12 to 18 inches depending on the length of your leader. Super clear water, I run a little bit longer leader. We're fishing on Mille Lacs today, so it's just that crystal clear water, so I'm running a 5.5–6 foot fluorocarbon leader. A little bit dirtier water, I'd maybe drop down to a 3 or 4 foot, maybe even 2 foot leader. But then just a plain hook. Plain hooks are great for minnows. If I'm running leeches or crawlers, sometimes I run a floating jig head. So we're just going to give everything a shot today and see what we can get into. So, all right, stay tuned. Go out and catch some fish. It's going to be wavy out there, so don't get seasick watching this. Motor down here just so we don't move away too fast. Now, if I'm fishing with a leech, I'm not going to give them as much time, but fishing with these big sucker minnows, you got to give them a little bit longer to commit to that bait, just because if they're a little switched off at times, they may not have that full bait in their mouth right away when they hit that. A lot of times if a guy's fishing plastics, as soon as they get that bite, you want to set into that fish, but with this live bait, sometimes you want to give them a little bit more time. Then it's a big swooping hook set like that. And there we go. We're hooked up. Got our first walleye of the day. Doesn't feel like a giant by any stretch of the imagination, but you know what? Be out here battling this wind the way we are. It's nice to be getting anything at all, so. Not a real big one, so I'm just gonna flip them in like this. There we go. Got that fish hooked right there, that bottom lip. Nice and easy out, and we have it. First fish of the day. About an 18, 19 inch walleye, super healthy. Rigging with live bait. All right. Drop back down for another one. You know, when it comes to line for this type of fishing, it really is personal preference. Me personally, I love the braided power lines. I'm running fire line today. Oh, there's a bite. Let that finger go. But, you know, the advantage I find with it is that you don't, I'm gonna hit the spot lock here on this fish, but anyways, what I'm saying is with the braided lines, you can feel every little bump and nook on the bottom when you're doing this, and a big part of it is keeping that bottom contact so that you've got that bait down in front of the fish. Another big part of it is because you're running that slip sinker and you're giving this fish time, if he runs with that bait, you know, you've got to make up for a hook set. So having a line that has zero stretch in it really comes in handy. So, all right, I've given this fish, you know, 15 to 30 seconds here. Just gonna soak up a little bit of that slack. There, I'm up to my weight. Oh, and I jerked the hook out of his mouth. Well, didn't give him enough, but anyways, power lines. I'm a huge fan of the braided line just because of that nose stretch and just that outstanding feel that it gives you. That fish, you can see right there, he had that minnow right up to there. I can see I've got teeth marks right behind the back fin. So like I said, these fish are kind of in a negative mood. That's why I've gone to this. So that fish must have came up behind that minnow, got a hold of it right to there. You know, had I given him a few more seconds, maybe he gets up to my hook. So we're gonna send that minnow back down and see if he can't get bit again. All right, got another one going here. I just had a fish grab my bait and I didn't give him enough time. So this one I'm just gonna give him, you know, a few extra seconds to get up to that hook. Oh, there he was. He's coming back towards the boat. Here I thought I had lost him or that he was gone, and the whole time he's just coming towards the boat. I was gonna pull up to check on my minnow after getting a bite. And that fish is right next to the boat here. All right, a little nicer than that last one, so put him in the net. All right. There we go. You know, and when it was all said and done, I probably gave that fish close to a minute to get that minnow down. You know, I gave that fish close to a minute, and you can see that hook is right there in the corner of his mouth. So he's still not super aggressive, but they are feeding. So there you go. Another about 19-inch fish. So they're here. They are biting. Just got picked up again. Today I'm running my trolling motor. All I'm doing is setting my speed at about, I actually have it set at 0.6 of a mile an hour, and I'm just working back and forth across this flat. The wind is coming, you know, going across the top of the flat, so I'm not really using the window to my advantage at all. I'm actually just cutting across it either way. So it's actually working out pretty well for me. Again, I missed a few fish by not giving them enough time with these big minnows, so I'm just gonna let this one have a good bite of it before I set into them. So one of the things you got to consider when you're fishing these Lindy rigs is that, you know, the idea behind that slip sinker is when that fish bites and you let that line go, now that weight stays stationary on the bottom, and that line is allowed to flow freely through there. So if the fish decides to swim away with your bait, now he's not feeling that weight. When you're setting into these fish, you just want to make a real big wide hook sweat, not a quick jerk like if you were fishing a jig or a plastic. But so I just like to reel up the slack until I get to that weight. It's just a lot, there's still a lot of line out there. All right, there it is. Just a big wide hook sweat like that. We got ourselves another fish here. So there you go. There, I got him right in the corner of the mouth again. So, you know, I'm not giving these fish too much time. You know, it seems like I might be waiting a ridiculous amount of time, but the mood they're in and the size of the bait I'm using, that's another fish right there that you can see I got hooked just in the corner of the mouth. So there we go, another decent walleye. And a lot of guys would shy away from a minnow that big in the spring, but I don't know why. It works great. When it comes to rigging live bait like this, it is an absolute dynamite way to catch fish. You know, and I know guys that will do this all summer long. As a matter of fact, I know a few guys that this is the only way they will fish all year, and they catch fish all year. You know, there's so many options as far as using leeches, minnows, night crawlers. You just got to be able to switch it up a little bit as far as hook sizes, maybe weight sizes and shapes depending on where and what you're fishing for. So if you're gonna rig live bait specifically for this springtime bite, don't be afraid to go with a big minnow. A lot of guys say, hey, you got to use small fathead minnows, it's the only thing they'll bite on, but that's just not true. I catch a ton of big fish and all sizes of fish really on big minnows this time of year. You know, after that spawn is over, those fish are looking to get fat, so don't overlook big minnows this time of year. So anyways, I think that's gonna do it for this little bit on Lindy rig fishing. If you have any questions, please shoot me a comment. I'd love to answer them. Love to hear any feedback you have. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.